so that nobody will be tempted to go through that. I think last week at management meeting, I directed that should happen. But they should also interest the public to know that we have earmarked about 11 or 10, foot bridges to be constructed at various points, including that particular spot, that particular area. Is going to be part of the infrastructural development for the Accra Traffic Intelligence Management System that will be installed.
How soon can that happen, this footbridge that you're talking about?
Yes, we have the funding available. It's part of the 3 billion Chinese loan facility. We have the contractors who will do the job. We have the contract signed already. We are currently waiting for the last hurdle, which is the final approval that will come from the CBD, that is the Chinese side.
Okay, so you're unable to say when exactly this is going to happen?
Well, I hate to put a timing on it, but I'm saying that is the last, event that we are waiting in the process of activities to get to the utilization of the fund. And
okay.
That is all we are waiting for.
In the meantime, whilst these incidents are happening, how about putting back your men? I remember some time ago when this one of these incidents happened, you sent your men there to control or to stop people from crossing the road arbitrarily. Yes,
we have had men there sometimes. We have also had the police there sometimes. But sometimes the duties within the city sometimes does not allow us the opportunity to have people all over the places where we need people. But I have always also encouraged the public that the footbridges that we have there now is what we have. And as much as possible, as much as there is a distance, but that is what we have now. And everybody should attempt, make a giant step to use the footbridges as we have now, because it saves life. What we have now, it will save your life if you did it that way, even though you may have to walk some distance. And these are children going to school, and they watch us, the adults. And if we try to attempt to, then they want to follow us, and they don't watch the traffic. You understand? So I will appeal to the general public that the footbridges that we have now is what we have, and they must please endeavor to use that. There are better days ahead. We will construct more footbridges, but until we do so, I want to appeal to the general public, especially the children who are going. We, the adults, have to set examples to this, to the children.
All right.
We will try to see if we will have men there, but you cannot always guarantee the presence of men and police over there. So education of the public is what we must do now. Use the footbridges as we have today, but better days ahead. We will construct more footbridges. All
right. Thank you very much. You heard the Accra Mayor ALFRED VANDERPUIJE speaking to us about what the AMA is going to do about the situation at the La Paz section of the George Walker Bush Highway. Now, there are several dangers there, and following from this incident, we sent our team there to give you an idea of what the situation is like as per the dangers on that road.
Since its construction, the N1 highway has claimed more lives than is acceptable. About 50 pedestrians have already lost their lives. When the news team arrived on the highway, one could feel the tension even from within our vehicle. The highway can be compared to the Accra-Tema motorway, but for the different lanes and the absence of a speed limit that makes it look less dangerous. There are only 2 overhead bridges widely apart, and if a passenger alights at the traffic light, he or she would have to walk all the way to the footbridge before crossing. Thus, many cross the major road at dangerous sites, disregarding the fast approaching vehicles. They just want to get to their destination. This donut seller, for instance, was attempting to cross this major road with her cookies regardless of the life-threatening risk involved. What was more worrying was the little children, most of whom had closed from school, walking around, some with chaperones and others alone. Even the adults found it difficult crossing the road and seemed more interested in getting to their destinations on time rather than walking all the way to the single footbridge far apart. Take a look at this young man. He did not care when the green light came on, signaling vehicles to move forward. He would rather run across the road quickly than stand for a few minutes for the red light to come on. Apart from the fact that the road is very dangerous, whether one is in a vehicle or a pedestrian, most Ghanaians are very impatient and even find it difficult to stop at a zebra crossing. Coupled with this impatient attitude, the dangers are compounded, and the sooner the appropriate officials go back to the drawing board, the better.
We're staying with road accidents, and earlier this morning 24 people lost their lives in an accident on the Tamale-Buipe Road in the northern region. 23 people on a Mercedes-Benz bus with registration number AS 893112 traveling from Kumasi to Tamale, and the driver of a Kia truck with registration number AS 883311 traveling from Tamale to Buipe died in the unfortunate accident. We have been joined on the line by the regional commander of MTTU. We're actually joined by the Joy News correspondent Mohammed Ashmin to give us the very latest information on that accident. Good evening to you, Mohammed. What can you tell us about this accident?
Well, the incident happened last night at the Buipe-Tamale Highway. According to some eyewitnesses that I managed to speak to, the incident happened as a result of a collision between a Kia truck carrying some kettles and then a Mercedes-Benz bus that was heading from Kumasi to Tamale. And as a result of that, those 23 people perished in the accident.
Are there, Mohammed, are there any others who are injured who are probably in hospital?
Yes, there are 3 people who were able to, who sustained various degrees of injuries, and they have been moved to the Tamale Teaching Hospital for medical care. And let me also confirm that the body of the deceased, the victims, have all been moved to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. According to the MTTU, they are still doing their verification, and then very soon an announcement will be effected for relatives of the deceased to come to the Tamale Teaching Hospital for identification.
Now, Mohammed, we're also told that a 1-year-old baby lost his or her mother. Can you confirm that for us?
Well, I am unable to confirm that because the MTTU are still going on with their investigation. Our understanding is that there will be the media about the exact cause of the incident. So not until they confirm to us, I am unable to confirm the incident. Eyewitnesses that we have managed to speak to have really confirmed the incident that you have just mentioned, but we are still waiting for the MTTU to come from an official point.
All right, thank you very much. You had Mohammed Ashmin. He's our northern regional correspondent, bringing us up to date on that accident there somewhere on the Tamale-Buipe Road. Now, in a bid to decongest the nation's premier psychiatric hospital, management of the hospital has dispatched 30 inmates to be reintegrated into their various homes in the Eastern and Volta regions. The inmates have been declared medically fit by hospital officials.
The decongestion exercise by the management of Accra Psychiatric Hospital started in January 2012. It saw the successful reintegration of about 450 patients into their various homes and communities. The hospital is continuing with the exercise this year with the hope of discharging about 150 more patients. 30 inmates made up of 22 males and 8 females are expected to be reintegrated into their respective communities in the Eastern and Volta region, as they have been declared medically fit by hospital officials today. Some of the inmates, according to hospital authorities, have spent from 1 month to about 20 years in the hospital. Dr. Akwesi Osei, medical director of the hospital, says the exercise has been fruitful so far.
It's all been wonderfully positive. Of the 450 patients we sent home, just about 3 had to be brought back because in their cases, there was a house, but there was no home. The physical structure of a house was there, but there was nobody there really to accept them.
He also indicated the hospital is looking forward to the inauguration and establishment of the Mental Health Board by the President this year. This, he says, will eventually see to the establishment of mental hospitals in all 10 regions of Ghana to help reduce the pressure on Accra Psychiatric Hospital.
With the impending implementation of the mental health law, which I hope will be very soon, what we are going to do is to establish mental health facilities all over the country. So every regional hospital is going to, every region is going to have a small psychiatric hospital of about 40 to 50 beds. In that case, patients will not need to travel all the way from Tatale, Chumu, wherever, to come to Accra, Ankafle, and Pantan. We want to treat people as close to their home as possible. We call that the least situation of least restrictive environment. And that's what we are doing. So just as we are sending the patients home, we will then be sure that we will have our staff in the community to attend to them. Admittedly, now we don't have the psychiatric hospitals, the facilities there, but eventually what we are doing is that every regional hospital and every district hospital should be able to attend to psychiatric patients, so that we will be we will integrate mental health care into the community and a decentralized mental health care all over the country.
He appealed to the general public to accept discharged inmates to aid proper reintegration with their families.
That relatives should not be afraid of them. Very often, that is what brings about stigma. They are afraid, they don't know what will happen. They are well, and all that they need to do is to continue to let them feel welcomed and let them feel at home. And then they'll be happy. But if you shout at them, what you call high emotional expression, they laugh and you say their illness has come back, they whip, you say their illness has come back, that is not right. Everybody is entitled to be happy and is also entitled to be sad. So they can be sad, they can be happy. It does not mean the illness has come back.
Gloria, Lydia, and Hassan, who were inmates at the hospital, shared their experiences with Joy News.
I'm 21 years. I come from Volta region, Angloga. I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm very excited, and I wish all the patients in quick recovery.
I'm from Pampram. I had a little bit headache, so now I'm okay.
I did for Kofodwa. My family all did for Kofodwa. Yeah, okay, yeah, but I say me hot on it.
With a 600 capacity of patients at a time, the Accra Psychiatric Hospital admitted about 3,921 mentally challenged patients in 2012, compared to 3,596 admissions the previous year, 2011.
Moving on to other stories, now, minority members of the Appointment Committee in Parliament are likely to boycott the upcoming ministerial nominees vetting. Deputy Minority Leader in Parliament Dominic Nitwo, who confirmed this on Joy News' top story this evening, reiterated the party's stance on the 2012 election results, claiming it was rigged in favor of President John Mahama, hence challenging his legitimacy as president. He added the decision is in the interest of the nation. According to him, the party will decide tomorrow whether or not to attend the upcoming ministerial vetting. Meanwhile, Senior Research Fellow at the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEG, Kwesi Jonah, has cautioned the NPP to act wisely, adding that their boycott of the vetting has a tendency of undermining the democracy of the country. He also mentioned the fact that the case is still in court and yet to be determined, cautioning the NPP not to legitimize an undecided case. Elsewhere, the Central Region branch of the New Patriotic Party is urging supporters in the region to arrest and hand over to the police any person or group found putting up posters of Alan Kyerematen, a former presidential aspirant of the party. The directive follows the discovery of several of the posters all over Cape Coast.
NPP supporters thronged the streets of Cape Coast to deface controversial posters splashed at vantage points in the metropolis. The posters bearing the images of the 2008 and 2012 failed NPP presidential aspirant have the inscription 2016 Alan Kyerematen, New Hope. Regional and constituency executives of the NPP say they believe it is a deliberate ploy by the NDC to cause disunity and distract the NPP from its election petition pending at the Supreme Court. An NPP executive and the regional campaign manager for Alan Tremantin's 2010 campaign, Samuel Odro, tells Joy News party supporters have been alerted to keep an eagle eye on perpetrators.
We are condemning this act, and as we have seen now, we are removing all the posters in town. We are marching through town, removing all the posters of Honorable Tremantin. We believe that this is a fake poster, and if you can see this clearly, you will see that this is the same picture that was used in the 2010 presidential primaries of the NPP. So they've just gone to scan it, and they are using it for this poster. You see, this poster is not genuine, it's fake, and we are condemning whoever posted these posters in Cape Coast. We've heard that this thing is going on all over the country, but from Cape Coast, the directive we are giving, and this should go nationwide, is that if you see anybody pasting posters of Honorable Tremantin, you have to cause the person's arrest. You have to arrest the person. If you have citizens arrest the person and send him to the police station. Apart from that, if you don't see the person, anywhere you see Honorable Tremantin's posters, remove them. Destroy everything.
You're watching the Primetime News Bulletin on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Still to come in the bulletin, leading member of the NPP, Dr. Charles RECRUITMENT BROBBEY, he's calling his party's boycott of the by-elections, upcoming by-elections, as illogical and nonsensical. We'll bring you the full text of his statement. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the bulletin. Now, a stalwart of the NPP, Dr. RECRUITMENT BROBBEY, has lashed out at the leadership of the party to which he belongs over their boycott of by-elections, describing the action as illogical and nonsensical. Yeah, details of a news release, a statement released, he has been spreading across the media or sending out to media houses. Says the NPP must square the circle or cut out the comic tragedy. The NPP is boycotting parliamentary by-elections because it is in dispute with the EC. Why not extend this logical and nonsensical act by asking all the parties' MPs in all of the constituencies affected by the 4,700 polling stations cited in the Supreme Court petition to step aside from Parliament pending the determination of the case. Now, whilst we are at it, let the NPP in Parliament abandon the farce of taking part in the vetting of ministers nominated by the President whose election they do not recognize again until such time as the Supreme Court pronounces in the petition. Also, since it is only President Mahama who can commit the public funds of Ghana, let the NPP in Parliament suspend its participation in Parliament, since that body's agenda is only to debate and approve policies and programs which impose a charge on the public purse of Ghana. Better yet, as it is the same EC which conducted the elections in the constituencies in which the NPP won parliamentary seats, the NPP must reject those results as well and ask its MPs to boycott Parliament totally until the Supreme Court determines the suit. Otherwise, the NPP will show itself up as at only accepting the EC's conduct as fair and without malice where the NPP is victorious. Unless the NPP's leadership carries through with all of the foregoing, some of us who have as much roots in the formation of the NPP and its antecedent parties will not comprehend the logic or sense in the boycott of by-elections. Our party deserves better. Dr. J.B. Dankwa deserves better. Dr. Kofi A. Buzia deserves better. President Edward Akufo-Addo deserves better. Ubeche Bilamte deserves better. President J. Kufuor deserves better. Victor Usu deserves better. The 2016 general election is less than 4 years ago. The NPP is 4 years away. The NPP must be spending its energies getting ready to contest and this time secure the victory that the overwhelming majority of Ghanaians will vote for. An essential prerequisite for convincing the majority of Ghanaians, not just the I didn't get that part, is to demonstrate a commitment to principled democratic conduct and not knee-jerk self-promotional gimmicks. So that's the statement coming from Dr. Charles RECRUITMENT BROBBEY. And we have on the line a member of the NPP, SAMMY, AWUKU, to react to the statement that has just been put out by Dr. Charles RECRUITMENT BROBBEY. Good evening to you, SAMMY AWUKU. How does the party take this statement coming from the Dr. Charles RECRUITMENT BROBBEY? It's essentially saying that if you indeed are insisting that you're going to boycott the parliamentary elections, I mean, there's a whole lot that you should do rather than just, you know, focus or pick and choose.
Well, but first of all, we need to understand the angle Dr. is coming from. Dr. BROBBEY is coming from. He never believed in our suit in the first place. So obviously, this is a follow-up to his earlier epistle or statement that he released. In fact, to him, though he recognizes that there were irregularities, he thinks that we should just sweep it under the carpet and move on. But we strongly believe that the people of Ghana voted for the NPP. It's important that we also ensure that the votes that they did cast remain counted and were counted for the right person. So Doctor from day one has never believed in the suit. I wasn't expecting anything different. The leadership of the party met up with the minority group and the minority caucus over the weekend. The party has also decided not to contest the Bohem and the Akachi South seat.
Yeah.
We believe strongly that as a party, we have dragged the Electoral Commission to court. Some of the things that will be tendering in as evidence comes in fact, some of these pink sheets also, because it's talking about the 26,000 pink sheets. And some of them obviously does come from the Akachi South and Bohem constituencies.
Now, Mr. AWUKU, granted, you see that the issues you have put out so far, are genuine, but the point he's making is that if you're saying that you have a problem with the EC and you're going to boycott these by-elections that are coming up, you might as well just get your MPs, ask all your MPs to just get out of Parliament, because they are going to be, as in it puts it in the statement, that since the body's agenda is only to debate and approve policies and programs which impose a charge on the public purse of Ghana, you may as well suspend your participation in Parliament. And he says, better yet, or better still, as it is the same EC which conducted the elections in the constituencies in which the NPP won parliamentary seats, ask your MPs to boycott Parliament totally until the Supreme Court determines the suit.
I think Doctor's assertions clearly, I think he's coming from a wrong premise. The NPP is not contested the 275 parliamentary seats in court. The NPP, we have clearly indicated that we believe that about 38 of these constituencies we were robbed as a party. So if you're asking all our candidates who did win, of course, the NDC also won in some of these places. The party is not dragging all the 275. In the various constituencies, you have different returning officers. What doctors should also recognize and realize is that in the presidential election, for which he has contested before, we have just one returning officer. And here the returning officer we're talking about is the Electoral Commissioner. We believe that the presidential elections were flawed. Now he's asking that instead of us picking and choosing, we should totally boycott. Of course, we are not only in Parliament to just approve things brought in by the President. We are also there to help formulate laws. So I'm a bit surprised. But nonetheless, the party will not be distracted by Doctor's comment. He has expressed his opinion. He's a member of the NPP, of the close to 10 million Ghanaians who are members of the New Patriotic Party. He does have one vote. And likewise, the person at Zavzugu that we are fighting for also has a vote. Myself, I do have a vote. And we have somebody in Myon also having just one vote like Doctor. If there are 5 million people plus who did vote for us, we believe that more did vote for the NPP. And that is why we are in court. If at the end of the day, the court says that we don't have a case, the NPP will recognize the legitimacy of President Mahama. But when we know we have a solid case, overwhelming evidence, a case that will shock the Ghanaian people, we don't have to let people lose confidence in our electoral system. Because when you get to that stage, then you're only giving people ideas to change government with the violent means. And we've gone past that stage as a country. So let's build strong institutions that people can be proud of, that someday, at least when they do vote, their vote will matter and their vote will count.
Mr. AWUKU, one final point before you get to go on. The last time anybody, spoke, the issue came up in the Burhan, for a member of your party had issues with your court case. The party took a position against him. Are you going to take a position against Dr. Charles RECRUITMENT?
Well, Dr. RECRUITMENT is not an elected officer of the party. He's just an ordinary member of our party.
So you spare him?
It's not about sparing him or cracking the whip. What I'm saying is Dr. RECRUITMENT is not a member of the National Council. He's not a member of the National Executive Body. He's also not a member of our regional or conference executives, but of course, he's a founding member of the party. He's a leading member of the party. But we have several leading members and several founding members of the party. If he's an elected officer, any decision that we also take at National Council is binding on all executives.
All right. Thank you very much. SAMMY AWUKU is the Deputy Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party there. Now, elsewhere, there's a mad rush for fire service recruitment forms at the WA post office. Young men and women besieged the post office before dawn, just so they could secure the forms. Rafiq Salam reports from WA. Most of the wannabe recruits simply wanted jobs, and not necessarily because they had a passion for firefighting.
The official time for the sale of forms was 8 a.m., but many of the prospective applicants got to the premises of the WA post office before 4 a.m. They were made to sit outside the main gate of the premises till around 6 a.m. when they were ushered in to form a queue, starting from the balcony up to the main gate. Abubakar Banikoi hails from Jeffisi in the Sisala West district and traveled to WA last night for the forms. He ended up passing the night at the post office, but he was not the first person to arrive at the WA post office. He met 3 young men and a lady outside the gates.
You can see that people are just coming in with their uniforms and just going to the office and buy the forms, which is not the best. We should have gone through the procedure before. Some of us were here before 6 o'clock, and that's why we are still here.
This lady, who only identified herself as Seya, also spoke about the frustrations of getting the forms.
I'm here 6:30 and the number I even had guys so it means so many people were there before I came. And the way the line is not moving fast. So I don't know what is going inside.
Considering the difficulties they're going through, Abubakar appealed to government to come to their aid.
But the way we wasted, we struggled to queue, it's not easy. And as of now, we don't even know whether the forms are enough for us to get. It just, as of now, we got only 10 out of 200 and something. We came and gave ourselves numbers from number 1 to 210. So as of now, we are still going by the numbers. And we want the government to help us in this situation so that maybe they can give us more forms and make it very easier for us. Getting job this is not easy. So that's where we have all been here to struggle for a job.
Whilst the young men and women waited patiently for their turn, tempers were flaring up in front of the queue at the counter. They accused some personnel of the security agencies, especially the military and fire service, of being granted special favor at the expense of those in the queue. Mohammed Fahad led the charge.
And some people also came with our numbers and they are struggling to get some forms inside. And we members, we say we will not agree. So we asked one of the security personnel to push them out.
An allegation the fire service personnel quickly denied off camera. Both the postmaster and the manager of the WA post office declined to comment on the issue. But a reliable source at the post office told Joy News they only have 200 forms at their disposal, insufficient for the sea of people queuing up in the scorching sun. Interestingly, some of the people who had queued for the forms did so not because of their love and passion to pursue a career in firefighting, but because there are no available jobs.
Now into business news. 10,000 youth across the country are to benefit from a skills development project that seeks to boost tourism. To oversee the implementation of the project, the Ministry of Tourism has inaugurated a 13-member steering committee and a 6-member monitoring and evaluation committee.
Steering Committee and the Monitoring and Evaluation Committee is to oversee the Skills Development and Job Creation Project. The Ministry of Tourism is collaborating with a private entity, Messrs. Craft Pro Services Limited, to implement the project. According to the Ministry of Tourism, over a 2-year period, 10,000 youths across the country will receive training in the hospitality industry, such as providing quality hotel and restaurant services, production and sale of handicraft, as well as proper tourist reception.
If you're interested in maybe running a restaurant or a chop bar, you will be provided that kind of training. If you're a taxi driver, you will be trained to be courteous, all the things that we see when we travel. That kind of training will be given. If you are a crafts or artifact seller, they will teach you how to relate with your customers and even how to produce good quality artifacts that will attract patronage.
The project, which has already started, will also offer jobs to trainees in the tourism industry, as well as provide credit facilities for startup tourism businesses. Akua Senna Dansoa says the ministry aims to build capacity of Ghanaian youth so they could benefit from emerging opportunities in the tourism sector.
Taking the youth off the streets, income in the local economies, and it's all part of poverty reduction and development of the sector in the country. The school dropout, somebody who has not been in school, anybody who is interested in doing a vocation in the tourism sector is welcome. You don't need any qualification to enroll.
She indicated 2012 saw an increase in tourism arrivals of 903,300, up from 821,200 in 2011. There was also a corresponding increase in revenue of $1.7 billion, up from $1.5 billion. The committees are composed of representatives from various ministries as well as public and private training institutions.
Officials of Delta Airlines in Ghana say they are putting measures in place locally and in the United States of America to resolve passenger complaints that have come up in recent times. This was a conclusion of a meeting between the airline representatives and the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority over the complaints, including undue delays, cancellation, and poor customer service. Now, below are highlights of the press release from the GCAA. The meeting was chaired by Air Commodore K. Manfi, Director General of the GCAA. It was attended by senior directors of the GCAA and 2 senior officials of Delta Airlines, including Mr. Robert Brand, Commercial Director East and West Africa, and Mr. Park Wo-Shum, Managing Director Delta GCAA. Now, after the meeting, these are the critical issues that emanated. Delta Airlines has, within the last 4 days, stationed a maintenance engineer in Accra in a bid to resolve all technical hitches contributing to flight delays and cancellations. In the United States, these issues are also receiving a high-level attention with the formation of a committee which has in turn appointed a senior staff to review all processes for the U.S. Accra departure, taking a critical look at patterns and details. He goes on to say the airline will also be sending a senior maintenance engineer to reevaluate Delta's local maintenance partners. Delta Airline is also endeavoring to get the aircraft with the reconfigured seats back on the Accra route. However, airfares have been reduced to reflect the unavailability of this particular aircraft. Customer complaints are also being tracked by flight and crew to provide a more detailed analysis for quicker resolution. And that's it. The statement issued by the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. And that's it for the business news. We bring you smart investment tips.